the fans forum just after the United game as United draw 1-1 to Fulham away. It's hard to really describe straight away exactly whether it's a good draw or a bad draw. What does that even mean? And we're going to discuss everything throughout that game, all the different players. We're going to discuss Amorim's tactics, his decision making. We're going to discuss how well Fulham even played. Was it a game that we probably should have taken now and won? Or some people might say, you know what, the way our Fulham ended that game, we're probably lucky that we didn't even concede another goal. But we're going to discuss everything. So make sure you're staying interactive in the chat. Send in all your super chats so we can discuss all of your opinions. There's so many mixed opinions right now going online, so we're going to go through all of that. I'm not here by myself. I'm with Tul, I'm with Hayden, and we've got somebody new here. We've got Tony. Tony's here, and he's going to give all of his opinions. But look, let's get straight into it. I mean, Tul, start off with you straight away. First opinions on that draw 1-1. How do you feel like it went for you?
Deflating, because they were definitely there for the taking. We're unfortunate not to be 2 goals up in the first half. You know, we had good chances, we were creating good chances, you couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Same old story, same as last season, and you know, we can't really blame the manager for that. And I thought we played great football in the first half. However, there was a very visual drop-off in the 55th minute when we made our subs, to where it just looked nowhere near how it looked against Arsenal or in the first half of that game. So I think the manager's probably already touched on it in his quotes, which we'll read out later. But I think he got it wrong big time, and you know, I don't want to pile on him too early into the season because he's got a big job on his hands. However, he's not exempt from criticism, and I do think his choices today were really, really poor.
Yeah, I mean, Hayden, touching on the manager, as Tul just mentioned, what were your thoughts initially on his decision making in terms of the team that he's put out? Do you feel like that was initially the right team for to put out?
I was surprised when I didn't see Sesko start. I thought after Arsenal, he came on for his cameo. I thought he'd then start him Fulham because he needs to get off the mark. He needs to start scoring goals. That's what we need. But I do think first 20 minutes, like Tul said, I do think we started well. Mount was getting a lot of the ball. I thought he was one of our best players outfield. Kuna was getting on the ball and it was creating chances. But then after that, it just stopped and we really struggled. I thought the wing backs were a big issue. Kuna and Dorgu on that left side, and in Mbeumo and Ahmad, the link up just wasn't quite there, and it's just something wasn't quite right. And then he brings Mount off, which we'll touch on his subs, but he brings Mount back into midfield when he's our best attacker, and then we just can't create any chances. It didn't make sense to me, to be honest. Yeah,
I mean, totally. We're going to go through the game, and I want you to start on this. I mean, let's talk about the first 10 minutes. Let's talk about how the game started off. Probably the best 10 minutes of the game for United. Probably created the most chances, had the most possession. I mean, in your opinion, how do you feel like United started the game? Do you feel like it was a positive start, and why do you think it changed as well?
Yeah, definitely a fast start. I feel like that's what we wanted to see as United fans, especially from that Arsenal game. Kuna hit the post, and you're thinking, all right, this is a good start. This is a place we go and win. We won our last 8 there. And we played really well. And this was without a striker, as you said. Listen, I'm not Mason Mount's biggest fan, but I can admit he had a really good game today. And so I was liking what I was seeing. And for the first 10 minutes, I thought we were a much better side. We were creating chances, the possessions, the stats looked good. Fulham had nothing. And then it started to change for a bit. It was when, I would say 20 minutes into the game, where Fulham started to get back into it. And you just saw us deflating. And then there was a time where, for a good 10 minutes, I think towards the end of the first half, Fulham looked like a team that wanted to actually play and actually decided to turn up like 40 minutes later. So I think that's where the game started changing, and then we can go on about the second half and later on. But I think that last first half an hour, that's where it changed.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, on obviously the goals kind of came in the second half, but I really want to talk about what do you guys feel like? I mean, Tul, I can come back to you on this one. Why do you feel like we couldn't get that goal in the first half? Because that kind of felt like the best opportunity for us to go and go 1-0 up or even get 2 goals. What do you feel like was the reason that kind of just that little thing that didn't click, that would have been the main difference to us, you know, like I said, going 1-0 or even getting 2 goals in that first half?
Sometimes it's just what it is, mate. You've just got, sometimes it just isn't your day. I mean, the chance that Kuna had where he hit the post was a great chance. The way he took that shot, I mean, he didn't even have a right to even get a shot on target. So he did well to even, you know, nearly score. And then obviously the Bruno penalty, which we'll touch on Bruno in a bit, but even regardless of the penalty, I mean, I thought Bruno was bad against Arsenal. I thought he was worse today. I thought he got a little bit better towards the end, like the last 15 minutes of the game or so, but that first hour, mate, he just looks way off it. Like, he just looks... Everybody else is just playing on a different level than him. I don't know...
Speed, yeah.
Just the way he stepped up for that penalty as well. I don't know what it was, just the look in his face, just everything about it just didn't seem right. I mean, regardless what you think about Bruno, penalties is the one thing where I literally, when he stepped up, I said, every time he steps up, I say, I'll bet my house he scores, because usually he scores, but I said it today and he didn't score. But then to see the thing with the referee, right? And then he came out in the second half. It's been like 30 minutes after, and he's still moaning at the referee for getting in his way on his walk, like on his stepping up for the penalty. I'm just thinking, mate, what are you doing? Like, you skied the penalty. Just get on with it. Stop. Yeah. No one wants to see you moaning at the ref. Like, no, it's just entitled. It just doesn't come across right to me. I didn't really like it, regardless of the performance. That's two separate things: the penalty thing and the performance. I don't like either of them. Yeah. So, yeah, the fact that he stayed on the pitch for 90 minutes today, even though we did get a little bit better towards the end, I don't think he should have made it past 60 minutes. To be honest.
Do you feel like that penalty kind of changed the energy in the game? Because it kind of felt at that point like, you know what? I mean, we were all saying that, yeah, this is going in. This is going to be 1-0. Oh, the floodgates are going to open. We're going to start scoring more goals. But usually when you go 1-0 up, it kind of gives you a little bit more confidence. But as he's missed it, and obviously you mentioned the way how he missed it, the frustration with the referee beforehand, then to sky it over, it kind of felt like he was it felt like he was taking it as a frustrated player. It didn't feel like he was a calm, composed captain. I'm here to put my team 1-0 up. It kind of felt like, I'm annoyed at the referee, so I'm going to blast it in the back of the net, which to me is a very poor decision as a leader. As a leader, you want to always be calm. You want to lead by example. You want the rest of the team to kind of look at my captain and think, he's calm and composed. He obviously feels like we still got a good chance in this game. He's going to put the penalty away. He's going to lead us to winning the game. But it almost felt like the energy of Bruno was what kind of set us almost back a little bit at that moment in time, because it felt like he was just frustrated with what was going on. So, I mean, going back to you, Tony, do you feel like that was a changing point when Bruno did miss that penalty? Because that was just before half-time. It was about 39 minutes.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a changing point. I think it was the culmination of Fulham getting back into the game. Because I think Fulham got back into the game just before we got the penalty. And then the penalty, that was kind of like a relief moment, because we deserved to be 1-0 up with all the chances we've had from the two Cunha chances. And then we got that penalty from Calvin Bassey just doing WWE with Mason Mount. Yeah. And then next thing you know, we were thinking, oh, you know what? We probably don't deserve it now, but for what we've done in the first half, let's get this penalty. And walking back, the whole referee situation and him not making that decision. I don't want to touch too much on the penalty though, just because he scores those. He takes that again, he probably scores it.
Yeah.
It's not like we're going to ever take Bruno off penalties, because he's the guy when it comes to penalties. And it's just annoying, because normally Bruno will score that, even if he had that exact same performance and him not playing well, he normally scores it and we just like gloss over it.
Yeah.
But this time we're not. And as you said earlier, bro, he's going to probably play his way out of this team, or at least get subbed off if he keeps on playing like this.
I agree. I've been saying that. People keep... Fair, now people are hearing it. Now people are seeing what I'm saying. It's not a case of Bruno's a bad player. I don't think anyone's saying that. No one's saying Bruno can't play or he's not good enough to play. But the reality is, if these results carry on, he will play himself out of the team. We all said at about 50, 60 minutes, if we were to bring a player off, who would it be? And everyone said Bruno. If we were to do it, we're not the manager. You know, Amorim's a manager, and if Amorim had a choice, which he did, he obviously chose to take off somebody else. But look, I mean, going back into the rest of the game, one thing I want to touch on that first half as well, a player that I feel like had a pretty decent first half, Casemiro. I think in that first half, before he obviously got taken off pretty early into the second half, I think genuinely he was one of our better players. I think just position-wise, you don't have to be the quickest player, but if you're in the right place, you can get the right tackle. You can make the right interception. And I think his passing was just also clean. It was simple. He didn't have to do too much. I mean, Hayden, you touched on that. How well do you think Casemiro did? And also, do you feel like that yellow card kind of changed it a little bit for him?
Definitely. I think over the course of the first 2 games, Casemiro's actually been probably one of our best players, which before the season started, no one here would think I'd be saying that. I didn't even think he'd start, never mind that. But I think just because we were talking about Bruno then, he could actually learn a thing or two from Casemiro this game. Casemiro, he got the ball, he kept it simple, shifted it, moved it quick, and I thought he played really well. That yellow was absolutely stupid, like we all seen, clear dive.
Yeah. So dumb.
And then he had to play a bit more carefully after that. probably why Amorim subbed him off,
Yeah.
because we were thinking, oh, he's played well, why has he come off? Yellow card, makes sense. So I do think Bruno can take a few tips from him, and because Bruno, he is a good player, we've all seen it, but when he goes into that deeper role, we just can't, we struggle to progress up the pitch as a team, because he gets the ball, he's shooting a pass in behind, and 1 out of 10 times it might work, but 9 out of 10 times we lose the ball, and we struggle and we're on the back foot. We drop in, and he runs around like a headless chicken, and in a double pivot, you can't do that. He may play there for Portugal in the centre mid, and he may get away with it. But in a double pivot in this Amorim system, especially with Casemiro there, who, as we know, legs, he's not exactly a spring chicken. He gets left on his own, and then all of a sudden we're getting swarmed. But I do think Casemiro, good game today.
I mean, seeing as we're talking about the two midfielders, we have to touch on the midfield today. I mean, where do we go from here? Because in my opinion, we haven't necessarily seen two players yet work both together. I mean, we've seen Casemiro, like I said, have a good game. We've seen, obviously Mason Mount kind of dropped in later on in the pitch, but Mason Mount as a midfielder, he's obviously had good games. Kobbie Mainoo not see the pitch at all. Everyone's screaming free Kobbie Mainoo online. Ugarte came on and didn't really do anything. Where do we go with this midfield? If we don't go and pick up a new midfielder, who are the two players that start for you? I mean, Tul, you can start.
I think eventually he's going to have to make a huge call, and I think it's going to be one of the two things. He's going to either have to bench Bruno, which don't ever see happening, or he's going to have to bench someone else so Bruno can play in the 10. Because eventually this Bruno playing in the 6, I'm not convinced by it, and I think eventually we're not going to get away with it. I mean, we're not really getting away with it now, are we? Because we're not even putting results on the table. But I think eventually it's going to cost us too many points, and he's going to have to change something. Kobbie and Casemiro, I think maybe could work, but I just don't think he's even going to play Kobbie, because he obviously don't really rate him. Let's be honest, he just does not rate him for some reason. Same way how Ten Hag didn't rate Ahmad, and you're looking at it and just thinking, what is it that you don't like about him that none of us can see? Yeah. He's obviously, there's something about Mainoo's game which doesn't work for Amorim, right? Last season, a pivot that we actually had quite a bit of success with, and people ain't going to like it because it is boring, and we're not going to get very far with it. But Casemiro and Ugarte, we had a bit of success with last year, and it's boring, and it's not going to get us anywhere in the long term. However, we'll probably see games out a bit better, and we'll probably manage games a little bit better. I just don't. For me, anyone but Bruno in the 6, I've been very adamant about that since last year. It don't work for me. If you're going to play Bruno, play him in the 10. No,
I totally agree, but unfortunately, that's not what Man United are going to do. So we're going to have to figure it out, and the right answer is that Bruno's our captain. He's going to start week in, week out. Yeah. We either drop one of our 10s, or we find a midfield partner that can fit Bruno. And right now, we've tried Ugarte, not really working. We tried Casemiro, and Casemiro's been playing well, but it still doesn't work for us. So we need to sign someone who can fit playing next to Bruno. But again,
doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
I was about to say Bruno and Casemiro. Well, Casemiro's doing good. Bruno ain't working. It's in a bit Casemiro, mate.
It doesn't make sense. But unfortunately, Bruno's our captain. And unless we drop one of the 10s, who we signed 2 10s, right? So unless one of them starts on the bench, Bruno's going to play centre mid. So we need to sign someone that needs to play next to Bruno. And the thing is, that's Man United's fault. Because even though we like the Kuna and Bruno signing, we should have said, all right, guys, where's Bruno Fernandes going to play? Even though he played centre mid last season and he had a couple good games like Anfield away, and I was there, it was great. But that's not sustainable, it's not long term. We cannot do that. So we need to go and sign a midfielder that can maybe fit Bruno or help out Bruno at least. But again, not long-term planning, because why are you going to sign someone who can play next to a 30-year-old in centre mid who's playing out of position? We should be thinking, who's best next to Kobbie so we can have a midfield pivot for the next 10 years. But Man United planning, we'll get there eventually. Yeah. It's either Bruno plays himself out of the team, or we just find a midfielder that can do it all, Carlos Baleba, and then play him next to Bruno, and that's how we figure it out. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a bunch of quotes I'm going to read out coming from Amorim and Bruno, and even Calvin Bassey. He said a few things which I'm going to go through. First thing I want to say is about Bruno on the penalty, on the collision with the referees. He says, "No, as like everyone else, you have your own routine. I was preparing myself to get the penalty. That put me a little bit off my nerves, but it's not because of that why I missed the penalty. I missed because I kicked the ball very bad."
So at least he took a bit of ownership.
at
He
least
didn't
he
blame
owns
the
up
ref.
to it.
If he had blamed the ref, I would have been very
Yeah,
disappointed.
yeah.
Very, very disappointed. But at least he kind of took a bit of ownership. Doesn't change the fact that he still missed a penalty, you know what I mean? But at least he's taken a bit of accountability on that. Ruben Amorim has said, "I think we can do better, but we are putting the effort. So that is the most important thing for me. I think we did well in some moments, especially at the beginning of the game." He also says, "After the goal, we were just thinking about the result. This team needs to win games, so we need to focus on the performance and what we need to do. Because if we focus on the result, we forget to do the normal things. We were okay until the goal. We scored and we should do the opposite. Have more possession, push more the opponent. We were not smart in that moment." So, I mean, again, he's taking a bit more accountability, not necessarily taking accountability, but he's at least analysing the game similar to how we kind of looked at it as well. But we were speaking literally just before we went live about pace in the midfield and how it almost, Amorim always talks about I need more pace in the midfield, but how it almost doesn't make sense because you play with sixes and usually, not every six in the world is the fastest player, and we spoke about who do you think won in a race between Maino and Bruno. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And even if it was Maino, even if it was Bruno, it wouldn't be a 10-second difference. They're very similar players in that kind of respect. So, for him to not play a player like Maino because he doesn't have the pace, but who does have the pace in that midfield? Who are we looking at? And why are you looking at someone like Casemiro or Ugarte or Bruno as the players who might have more pace? Surely you should be looking at a player like Kobe who can actually just move the ball quicker. And naturally, the game moves wherever the ball moves to. So regardless of how fast a player is, if the player can move the ball quicker, then the game will be quicker. That's the quickest player on the pitch, whoever can make the ball move the fastest. So for me, that's why I look at someone like Maino and I think, regardless of whether he's the quickest and he might not have lightning speed, the ball's gonna tick around a lot quicker with Maino on the pitch. He's gonna make things happen. And obviously we spoke about when we were drawing the game, when we were winning the game, who should we bring on to kind of see the game out? Who should we bring on to kind of keep possession, keep the pressure on Fulham, and see the game out? Kobe Mainoo. That's the player in the midfield that you wanna bring on that can have the ball. He's the most comfortable on the ball, probably the most pressure resistant of all the players that we've got on the pitch. Who can we bring on to actually see the game out? Kobe Mainoo. But instead, we kind of set up to go a bit more defensive. We brought on Dallo, we brought on Ugarte, and all of a sudden now we need a goal, and we've got players who are more defensive on the pitch. But yeah, I mean that's some quotes from Bruno Amorim. He also says on the refs, he spoke on the ref on with the Bruno incident. He says, "No, I think he's not used to." He said, "No, I think he's not used to missing a penalty. He knows that every moment in this context has a huge impact on the team. I felt that during the game he was not so happy, not so involved because he has so much responsibility, and he felt the missed penalty was huge for us." I mean, what do you think about that? Because he's clearly saying that he's watched the game. Whilst he's watching the game, he says during the game he can see that Bruno's not happy and he's not so involved. Surely that's an indicator as to whether or not you want to bring him off. I mean, Hayden, you touch on that. Surely you're looking at your captain and you've acknowledged he's not happy, he's not involved, he's not having a great game. Why do you not see that and think he should be the player to sub off? Why did he kind of think to himself, I'm going to keep him on the pitch for the whole 90 minutes and just hope it changes?
Because his name's Bruno Fernandes. Ralf Rangnick, Ten Hag, Ruben Amorim, Ollie, they don't sub Bruno Fernandes. I don't know what it is, but they don't sub him. But saying about how the penalty affected the team and stuff, I get why you would say that, but at the same time, I don't think it really makes sense because he missed that penalty, but then we went 1-0 up anyway. But guess what? We still, after we scored, dropped in, didn't create any chances, and Fulham were the better team in the second half. We can all see that. So I don't think you can really scapegoat a penalty miss when we went 1-0 up anyway and then immediately, drop off. I think what you can say is the substitutes. As I said, Mount creating all of our chances, goes into midfield, all of a sudden we can't get out. Kuna not getting on the ball as much, all of a sudden we're not creating chances. That's what you can say. I don't think using a penalty is that. And if you can say the penalty, your head's dropped, what sort of team do we have where a penalty miss, our heads are dropped? You wait to Fulham. You should be winning this game by more than one goal, not drawing. It's sad because when you start hearing stuff like that, you start thinking about back to last season where we'd go and we'd win some tough games. We'd beat City, we'd beat Liverpool, and then we go and lose. Well, didn't lose today, but we go and put in a poor performance away at home at Craven Cottage. I mean, against Arsenal, I thought, and we all thought that performance was really good, and we thought if we replicated that today, we should win. But First 10, 20 minutes, yeah, we were excited. Then back to last season, away from home against a lower table team, can't break them down, and not even can we not break them down. They actually have got they're actually running onto us.
Yeah.
So I don't see how you can scapegoat a penalty miss. I think I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's not the best excuse to kind of use. But look, there's loads of super chats coming in. Like I said, make sure you send these super chats. I'm going to read them all out now and we're going to discuss them. So, super chat from Tom O'Duff says Bruno number 8. A lot of people are saying that. It must have been something that Mark must have sent you guys to say. I don't necessarily what it means, but to say Bruno number 8. Another super chat from Siraj says, how many matches will Bruno cost more? Whatever that, well, I think I know what you're trying to mean. Amorim's favouritism for Bruno will ensure his sack. Bruno off position, but as 10, what's the need of our new 10s? A lot of criticism. I don't know why.
We had 4 10s on the pitch at one point.
Yeah,
insane.
We're all saying we need Belieber. We had 4 10s on the pitch. There's no balance there. No. And by the way, we had 4 10s on the pitch and we couldn't create chances.
Yeah.
Right. Just some stats for you. I heard someone tell me before we went live. We created 1 big chance from open play. Who created it? Bayern Day. That Kuna chance. Right. Yeah. This season we've had 180 minutes of football. Right. We haven't scored from open play, and in the final game of pre-season, the Fiorentina game, didn't score from open play. We scored a corner in that game, corner against Fulham, and we spent 200 million on Mbuemo, Sesko, Kuna. 200 million on forwards. Who scores our first goal of the season? Lenny Yoro. It's
an own goal.
What's going on?
Oh yeah.
And it's an own goal, yeah. So we haven't even. You could argue we've actually not scored a goal yet, really.
Yeah. I mean, the chance creative thing's a bit weird to me because, like, I feel like we did. Like even at the one where Kuna hit the post, did Mount not set him
Apparently it wasn't a big. I've just seen a stat. Bayern Day was the only one who created a big chance.
Yeah, I guess chances created is subjective, right? So I guess big chances are one-on-one, and then Kuna hitting the post, even though, like you said, he was good. It was good enough to get even on target, even though the post doesn't count as a target. But you know what I mean? It was good enough for that shot, so it doesn't really count as a big chance as a stat, which is rubbish. But if you watch the game, that's a chance. Yeah,
we saw that. And they're buying. I mean, we'll touch on the goalkeeper anyway in a second. But let me just go through some more of these super chats. Super chat from Bradissimo says, Bruno or Amorim out. Make your choice. They can't coexist. Interesting. Super chat from Tom. Tom says, Yoro will be the world's best centre back. I mean, let's talk a little bit about Yoro actually. I mean, let's stop there. I mean, me and Ricky go back and forth all the time about Yoro and Shaw. And look, I don't have a problem with Shaw, but Ricky, for some reason, has a problem with Yoro. I don't know why, but when he comes back, we'll get to ask him and actually get to see why his opinions are like that on Yoro. But every time I look at him, even if he doesn't have the greatest game, it's like I can still see how good of a player he is. And I'll be honest, you don't have to be a striker to save the game. Some of those tackles that he was making is the reason we didn't lose. Some of those last-ditch challenges in the box where he could have easily given away penalties, given away fouls. There's one where he was the last man. If that was a foul, it would have been a red card and the game would have been done. They would have probably scored a penalty or whatever it was, or ended up winning the game. But Yoro was calm and composed enough to make those big challenges. And obviously the goal, yes, it was technically an own goal, but at the end of the day, you have to be there, you have to do something to create that own goal. He's the reason why, it was his header that deflected off the whatever player it was. I think it was Munoz, and it was the reason why they got the goal. So, look, I think Yoro is such a top player. I think him and De Ligt are 2 players that walk into that centre back, whatever you want to call it, the 3 players. They're the 2 players that walk in for me. Luke Shaw, great player, and I think he's got so much ability, the most amount of ability in the world. But if I'm looking for the future anyway, if I'm looking for a player that I feel like in the next 5 to 10 years could be the best centre back in the league, or if not the world, it's Lenny Yoro. And I think right now, he's showing that he's already a top player. I think most teams in the Premier League will take him if they could, realistically. I don't think most teams will take Luke Shaw. So that's why I think Lenny Yoro needs to get a little bit more credit from some people. But I mean, look, you guys touch on Lenny Yoro. What do you think about him as well?
Yeah, I would say, you know what, they're in Fulham tonight, and I know it's Notting Hill Carnival in London right now. Lenny, you can catch a wine. Right? You deserve a wine. Maybe a Mount as well. They're the only people that can enjoy their bank holiday Sunday, because Lenny Yoro, I think, ever since pre-season, he's been playing every single pre-season game as the right centre-back. He solidified that role for now at that right centre-back role, and which is good because when he scored his first goal at Lyon away last season, he was playing off the left. And there's some people who will still want to play Lenny Yoro off the left centre back and then have Managerial if he comes back. So it's a good problem to have. Yeah. So I'm very proud of Lenny Yoro so far. Obviously it's still early, but he's come in, he's playing really well. And other than him getting cooked by Sulemana that one time, even though we won,
he learned from it.
Yeah. He bounced back for a young French centre back. That's really good. Yeah. So I'm proud of him. You can catch a wine tonight, my guy. Enjoy your bank holiday. Everyone else, go back to Manchester and train.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think Lenny Yoro is one of our better players today, and it's unfortunate he didn't get the goal. That's what I wanted. I wanted him to actually get the goal, so he can at least have that. But I think the fact that we all know he's made the biggest impact in that goal. So I think that's a positive to take from it.
You talk about. Sorry, just one thing on Yoro. You talk about Amorim was saying he doesn't have enough pace in the midfield or something. Talk about pace and urgency. Every time Yoro gets the ball as one of them centre backs, he's looking to make a run, progresses over the pitch. And a lot of the time he's finding these passes into he plays right centre back in Buemo. He's finding these passes into him and he's getting us up. And I think that is really understated, especially in this team where that's one of our biggest issues.
Yeah, 100%. One player I feel like actually does that pretty well, or did that pretty well, is Martinez. I think his passing in them channels was very, very. It opened up the pitch a lot further. And I genuinely feel like it's going to be. I don't know what Amorim's going to do. We don't know what Amorim's ever going to do. But when Martinez comes back and he's playing, he's fully back to fitness, I can see him walking back into the team. I can see him walking back into that left centre back position and potentially Yoro being the right centre back position. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, it's a good problem to have. The fact that we have multiple players, whether it's Managerial, Belit, Maguire, Luke Shaw. We saw Hayden come on today. Martinez. We've got a number of players that can play in those positions. I can even play a couple of those positions as well. So I think that's a good position to have anyway. But look, more super chats in here from the K Stone says the system is a liability. Too many back passes, no midfield flow, struggles versus weaker teams. Drop a centre back, add a midfielder, and keep the ball. Even if we sign a midfielder with 2 hearts, we will still struggle.
To touch on that though, against Arsenal, I don't know if you guys remember, De Ligt was often going up into the midfield. Especially we had these goal kicks. And then De Ligt would go up into the midfield once we got the ball, and it'd give us that man. And against Arsenal, they have arguably the best midfield in the league: Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard. We weren't that bad in the midfield.
No, we weren't.
But today, that didn't happen. I don't know if it's because we weren't at home. I don't know if it's because there was more of an onus on us to have the ball and attack them. That didn't happen, and that's one of the reasons why the midfield was completely imbalanced.
Yeah, 100%. Super chat from Firestorm. If you're not going to play Bruno at 10, sell him. He has not got the discipline to play in centre midfield. It's going to be a long season. Another super chat from Alex Marmin. It is 2 points dropped. We should have won. A game we were in control of. The performance went downhill after scoring. Mainly getting no minutes is a concern too, and should have come on for Bruno. Alan says Bruno showing uncontrolled anger today. Time to go. A lot of Bruno comments today, I'm not going to lie. Super chat from Josh Arnold says, we were worse when Casemiro was subbed. I mean, let's actually touch on those subs that were made. So the subs that were made was, in the 52nd minute, Dalot came on for Ahmad and Sesko came on for Casemiro. And then in the 69th minute, Ugarte came on for Mason Mount. Is there one of those subs that you feel like was the biggest difference?
Mount.
I
just think, why on earth would you move your best? I'm not saying Mount's our best player, and he's the best player we've ever had. I mean, he's quite clearly head and shoulders above everyone else on the pitch today. Why would you move it? Why would you move your player who's playing the best? It just doesn't make sense to anyone. Never mind, it's just nobody would do that. Why?
Yeah, the wing back thing as well. Obviously, he brought Ahmad off. He wasn't having a great game. I get that. But people, and rightfully so, people in the chat putting a lot of hate on Bruno, I think. Bruno had, again, another really poor game today, missed a penalty, played badly, played 90 minutes. Is one of the large reasons we lost that game. Even on the goal, he lost his man. But I do think as well, the wing-backs, in this Amorim system, they are so important. And I just think, I don't know if it's because we've got Kuna and Buemo and then they're new players. They're not working well with the wing-backs. Dorgu, we all thought this was going to be his time to kick on. He had a decent game against Arsenal. Like today, he had got forward first 10 minutes when he played well, got forward. After that, didn't really quite get forward. Ahmad wasn't in the game, got subbed off. Dalot, I thought was even worse, gave the ball away for the goal. Those wing backs are so important, especially when you're playing 3 at the back. You need those players to get forward and help you create those chances. And both of them really struggled. That we need to have a think with that.
I mean, Amorim's got some more quotes. I think he spoke on Manu, super interesting. He says, in training at the moment, he is fighting with Bruno for that position. I put Mount on because we want to score a goal. When we change, I wanted one holding midfielder near Bruno. So he doesn't see Kobe as a holding.
Why is he playing Mount with Bruno then?
So that's the annoying thing, right? Because he said this before. It's either going to be Kobe or Bruno. Yeah. And if we know we don't sub Bruno, it means it's Bruno. But you don't want to play Kobe there, but you play Mount holding.
Yeah.
That's the bit I don't get. If you can play, and Mount had a really good game, so I get why you didn't take him off. But if you know that you can't take off Mason Mount, and you need someone to be a holding midfielder there, or you don't think, or you need a holding midfielder next to Kobe, why on earth would you play Mason Mount there? No one's ever said, people have said, you know what, Mason Mount could maybe play in a double pivot. No one's ever said Mason Mount can be a holding midfielder. So when you decided to play Bruno and Mason Mount in the midfield, who was holding? Who was your holding midfielder? And that's on Ruben Amorim. And I love Amorim to bits, but that's on you, my guy, because what was your idea there? Yeah. Fair enough if we don't like Ugarte, but if Ugarte comes on, okay, Ugarte has to hold, Bruno you go, or Mount has to go, Ugarte you hold. But playing Mason Mount and Bruno in a double pivot is egregious to me. Like, it's absolutely insane.
I'll tell you what my concern is with that quote, right? He's confirmed what we all believed might be true, where Kobe's going to be directly competing with Bruno for his spot. Yeah. We're all speculating that, and now he's confirmed that, which is great. Bit of clarity. All right then. What's Bruno got to do to get subbed off then? Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
How bad has he got to play? He's got to get... He can't even get a red card because then Manu's not going to come on anyway because we've got 10 men. What's Bruno, how bad has he got to be?
Yeah.
How bad has he got to be for Manu to actually get his turn?
It's going to happen eventually. And you'd think that, like, I don't know, today...
Do you think it's going to happen eventually? Because...
I think it will. I think it has to.
Okay, I think it will because it should, but Bruno had a bad game and he missed a penalty.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen often. Bruno has bad games often, but he normally scores those penalties, and we just mask over it. That's not going to happen where Bruno has a bad game and misses a penalty, and he still didn't get subbed. I know it should happen, but if this is today is the day it should have happened.
Yeah, it's never.
And the fact that it didn't, it's never happening, my guy.
The only thing that I will say is, it's still the second game of the season. It will happen. It's not going to happen the second game of the season.
Bruno's never come off, other than us winning 4-5-0. He's never come off like us winning 1-0. I've probably tried, I don't want to say I've done the research, but someone do the research. The only person that didn't start Bruno was Michael Carrick, and he was interim manager.
For like
only
4
person
games.
for like 4 games. Yeah. That's the only person that's ever done it. Ollie hasn't done it, Ranić didn't do it, Ten Hag didn't do it. Bruno's not coming off. He's our captain. And captains do come off, but Bruno does not come off. So...
That's an issue then.
That's an issue.
That's an issue.
And if he's not coming off in one of his worst games where not only he didn't score, we're finished.
It's like
we're finished, bro. We're finished.
It's like that one super chat before that said, Amorim, I know we were all laughing, Amorim and Bruno can't coexist. If he doesn't bring him off, then he might be onto something. Because what is main? We haven't won a Premier League game yet. I know we've only played 2, but we drew to Fulham, lost against Hassel. Mino hasn't. Not only has he not started, he's not played a minute. He's actually not. Yeah. He's not. I've not even seen him. Yeah, I've not even seen him warm up. What must he?
But is this an Amorim issue or is this a Bruno issue?
It's Amorim, mate.
You can't blame him. At the end of the day, you can't. If there's a player who's not good enough, like example, last season, Hayden wasn't good enough at all. Mm-hmm. There wasn't that many options. But let's say we had another option, Xerxes. When Xerxes started playing well, we saw Xerxes start. Yeah. Hayden didn't start over him. If Amorim just continued to just play Hayden over Xerxes or over somebody, like if Amorim's playing Hayden right now, you can't blame Hayden for not being good enough because at the end of the day, the manager's playing the plays you aren't performing. So for me, I look at Bruno. Genuinely, one of the things anyway that I will say with Bruno is, and I don't think this should be a factor, but he has he's got a strong CV. Like he's got a strong CV at United, and that I know it shouldn't be a factor, but it is. It always is in football. You can't deny it. A lot of players just have stronger CVs than others, and because of that, they're going to get picked more so than other players. And with Bruno, he's been here for 5 years. Captain, he plays every single game. He's been playing every single game for the last 5 years, more or less. I think he played the most minutes in the Premier League last season. Like he played pretty much nearly every single minute. Because of that, I can tell Amorim is definitely thinking, you know what, if there's one player that I'm not going to bring off, it's got to be the player that has got all that, he's got the CV to kind of back himself up, especially because of last season. But it shouldn't be a factor But it is.
You're totally right, but every Man United manager has thought that since Bruno Fernandes has been at this club. So at what stage does someone, other than Michael Carrick, what stage does someone go like, all right, Bruno, this isn't your best game, come off, my guy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
like, someone's
100%,
got to do it eventually because not every single manager hasn't done it. So someone's got to do it eventually.
Yeah.
I think Bruno this season has been exposed even more than last season as well. And probably for two reasons. He's playing deeper, so it's more evident when he's giving the ball away because it's in areas you do not want to be giving the ball away. This is why we all think he should play 10. And also, I think we've got better footballers on the pitch in Mbeumo and Kuna. You see them get the ball, you see what they can do with it, and then you see Bruno get the ball and what's he doing? He's blasting it out of play.
Remember that free kick, and we didn't see he took it, and everyone was like, I bet that was Bruno.
Bruno,
Yeah, that was one of the points where I was like, oh, it was Bruno for the cheek, it was. But anyway, there's a couple more quotes I want to bring up. First of all, Amorim did say we have to grow up a lot as a team. What do you think he meant by that? Because there's a lot of things he could have meant. He could have meant physically, like as in like as a stronger or whatever. He could have meant mentally. We need to actually be adults on the pitch, be like a lot mentally stronger, when competing against these other teams. What do you think he meant by that?
Got to manage games out better, much better. We've got to read the room. You've got to look and say, we're 1-0 up. You can maybe even say we're a bit lucky to be 1-0 up because it's a deflection, it's an own goal.
Yeah.
We're away from home. We need the 3 points. Just close the game out. Let's close the game out. Let's keep the ball. Let's knock it about. Let's not invite too much pressure on ourselves, and maybe playing that way, you go and snatch another goal on the break or something. Do you know what I mean? Don't change the whole team up and then have 4 10s on the pitch and just throw that. I just can't believe it's actually happened. It's just so bonkers.
It almost felt like he made a mistake. Like he took off the wrong player and he was like, oh.
Like, fourth official, my bad. You're wrong number.
Like on FIFA, you click the wrong player.
He's like, oh wait, I've got Mount and Bruno and the C6s. let me make a change. That's what it kind of felt because it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't really make sense. But no, there's loads of super chats that have come in.
Just to jump in on the grow up thing. Right, I watch a lot of Premier League football matches, right? And this is where I say we need to grow up. I don't see a single other Premier League team, other than maybe like the newly promoted teams, that there's a bigger difference between when that team is playing good and when that team is playing bad than United. Just when we're playing good, like against Arsenal, the first 10 minutes of this game, like, oh yeah, we're up for it. Then the next minute, it's like you're watching Burnley.
Mentality is crazy.
It's crazy, and I don't know what that is, but you have to say, is that on the manager? I don't know. But then we need more balance as a team, and we need to get consistent quick.
I think mentality. One, I always say, look, as a professional player, these are grown adults, by the way. These are not like 15-year-old kids. These are 27, 28, 30-year-old men. Mentally, you should be at a point anyway in your career that you're strong enough to be able to play 90 minutes, full energy, full fitness, full focus. You should be able to do that as a professional. We're not talking about Sunday League here. We're talking about you're playing Premier League football. Like that should be something that you've got through your system already. And a lot of them have played a lot of Premier League minutes. They're not all new players. Even the players that we brought in, like Mbeumo and Kuna, they're Premier League players. So it's not like a new kind of environment for them to be playing. And they've played at Craven Cottage 10, 20 times before. So for me, mentally, as a professional player, you should already have a strong mentality going to these games. But also, the manager builds the culture at the club. End of the day, Sir Alex Ferguson built a culture at United, and it was a winning culture. If Sir Alex Ferguson got sent off, I promise you that team would still play the same way. They wouldn't need him to come and stand on the sideline and tell everyone what to do, because they would already have the mentality of what it takes to be a United player with or without him there, because he's already ingrained that into their mind. So Amorim has to do that, and yes, he's only been there for a season, so you can make the argument he's not done it yet. But that is something that the manager needs to definitely work on into these players. The manager shouldn't have to be on the sideline, when he's bending, like, kneeling down and that, when he's like, can't even do it, but he's like, on his tiptoes, innit? He shouldn't have to be there for the whole game for them to actually focus. Like, he should be able to just sit there, and the team should be able to, whether they go 1-0 down, whether they concede a penalty, they should always have the right mentality and the right focus to go in and win the game. So I think it is down to the manager. He needs to actually get that into the players' minds. But anyway, let me go back on some of these super chats. Super chat from Alex Marmons. No, read that. Super chat from Hamba says, Kuna must be played in one of the 10 positions because he is wasted at false 9. His dribbling and passing are nullified at 9. I mean, Hayden, you nodded your head.
Yeah.
I mean, touch on that as well. Kuna at false 9 rather than a 10.
I think there's a direct correlation between how much Cunha's getting the ball and how well we're playing. When we're playing well, Cunha's on the ball. He's dropping in, he's getting it. At number 9, he's got less opportunity to do that. However, that being said, I do think for some reason this game, when he was at number 9, he was actually arguably getting on the ball more. Because when Sesko came on, I thought we didn't see Kuna as much, but I do think that's more down to the midfield not progressing it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Kuna on the ball as much as possible. You've got Kuna and Mbeumo, you've got 2 very good players, but also 2 completely different players. You will play well when you're getting the ball to Cunha's feet so he can drive up the pitch. There's very few players with his ability to take it on the turn and take players on and ball carry. And then in Mbeumo, you want to be getting in front of him. Mbeumo's the opposite. When Mbeumo can create, but I think he's so much better, like we saw for Brentford when he's running in behind, chasing loose balls. He's the one that's actually finishing it, which we didn't see a lot of at all today.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of one of the main differences in that front 3 line. I mean, against Arsenal, Mount was more the false 9. He was the one who was dropping in a bit deeper, and Cunha and Mbeumo were more the 10. But then he did change that actually in the Arsenal game at one point. But today, yeah, I mean, Cunha was that false 9. Mount and Mbeumo were the 2 10s. I still think Mount had a pretty good game though, regardless. I think Mount was probably our best player going forward. But I also think that Mbeumo had a very quiet game. I feel like Calvin Bassey did a bit of a job on him. I feel like he silenced him a little bit. He didn't really get as many opportunities as he got in the Arsenal game, but I do agree in a sense of he is more of an outlet rather than him being the one to actually get the ball and give it to somebody else. I'd rather see Mbeumo being the one to get the ball in the final third and then take a shot or wherever it is, rather than him having to now drop in deep and then come and collect the ball and then bring it up. That is more of a Cunha kind of role in my opinion.
I do think Mbeumo's corners were very good today though. I mean, it
was a corner that kind of led to the goal anyway. I think he's got a good left footer, whip into the box. He's got a good corner in him.
We should be putting more crosses into the box, by the way.
Who do you think is the best crosser? I know you're going to say.
Mbeumo and Shaw. We've got 2 great crossers on the pitch, and you bring Sesko on in the 55th minute. Do you know how long it took us to put a cross in? 90th minute. Took 35 minutes to put a cross in the box.
Yeah, it took a while.
We've got 2 great crosses on both sides of the pitch. Maybe Dorgu can even put one in as well. And you bring Dalla on and he's maybe we'll put a ball in the box. 80 million quid on a 6'5" fella. I've got an idea, lads, because we've spent all game not putting a cross in swim. Let's put Harry Maguire on instead. You've got a 6'5" fella you just spent 80 million quid on. Why don't you swing the ball into him?
Facts.
And people are saying, Sesko's been quiet since he's come on. What's he meant to do? He's had nothing give to him.
Yeah, we were saying the same thing during the game. Like he's literally just running up and down trying to find the ball. But it's like it did remind me of like early on in last season where everyone was saying Haaland's not getting no chances. He's not putting the ball into the box for Haaland. It felt very similar to that. It almost felt like we're trying to work it through the midfield into Sesko. But reality is he's the kind of player you can just take it to the byline or take it to the touchline and just cross it in. And he's gonna get something. He's gonna get either a head on it or a foot on it or whatever it is. But just trust your striker. Maybe we're scarred. Maybe as United, we're scarred for not having a good striker for so long. It's like we're thinking, the last time I did this, the last time he tried to just cross it in and hope for the best, it didn't work for like 20 games in a row. But sometimes you've got to do that. City do that with Haaland. When things are going difficult, they will just cross 1,000 times and just hope that Haaland does something, and sometimes it works. So, look, if we really want to trust Sesko and get him on the ball and get a goal out of him, it gets to that point in the game where we've tried everything else. Just put it in the box, and like I said, he's 6'5". He's probably one of the best headers we've got in the team. So, why not trust him? But look, more super chats here. Super chat from Anthony Tracy says Bomb Squad and Highland are the early season winners. Yeah.
Why is Amorim trying to force Mino into the bomb squad as well? Mainu's played the same amount of minutes this season as Onana and as Highland and as the rest of the bomb squad. None.
Who's coined this term bomb squad, by the way?
He's from the 5. No, it used to be the 5 and then Rashford left, so now he got the 5 no more.
No, Mainu's made it up again.
Yeah, true. It's 5 now.
Deontay Wilder, mate. Bomb squad.
Super chat from Tomo says Bruno Saudi talk again followed by a bad game. I think we're going to hear that until the end of the window. Yeah. Every time he has a bad game, it's just going to be Saudi 100 million. Super chat from Jeff Evans. Are we Man United or Bruno FC? He is inconsistent. Not the first time I've heard that word for Bruno, to be fair. Saint Blanco says, for the first time today, I am livid with Amorim. I mean, look, I've got a question actually. Yeah, I think that's crazy anyway. I don't think it should be the first time. Maybe livid, that is probably the right first time. But I've got a question, and this is in no way, shape or form me saying that Amorim should be sacked or anything like that. But at what point, because I mean, Tony, you said before that you're Amorim in, and you're saying me, I'm Amorim in as well. But at what point do you start to say, like, it's getting too far now? Like, at what point is it like, okay, Like we're 7 games in, 8 games in, 9 games in, and he's constantly making the same mistakes. He's constantly picking the wrong players. At one point, do you kind of just say, look, Amorim, like the clock's ticking now. We can't finish 15th again.
October.
That was quick.
Bro, because I love Amorim, but we barely won any Premier League games. Like we have to.
We've lost 15 out of 27 or 28.
We're Man United, and at what stage? And I know we have a long, like a hard 10-game run, but Burnley. If we don't beat Burnley in Grimsby, that international break is going to be nasty because the narrative about Man United is Man United have not won a Premier League game yet. All of that, and listen, we're Man United, hated, adored, never ignored. Everyone's going to talk about us. All that negativity is going to go on. Why is Amorim still in the job? And as much as I want him to build his thing, build his culture, and I'm with it, and I think he gets it, he needs to put wins on the table.
100%, yeah.
He said that in his opening interview at Old Trafford. He stood on the Old Trafford pitch and saying, the way I'm going to buy time is by winning football matches. And right now, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So as much as I love you, Amorim, you're losing the moderates.
Yeah.
You need to start winning. Even if you have to start playing nasty football, I think right now, even though we want to see performances as fans, we need results.
Yeah, you've won 7 out of 29 games.
That is
like
shocking.
no other Man United manager will ever have. That won't happen at any other big club.
Most Premier League teams wouldn't have that.
And we're doing it because we like him and we want him to do well, and he's telling us everything we want to hear, and I low-key hear it too. But at what stage do we be like, okay, we just need to win games now?
Yeah.
Graham Potter has a better success, win rate at West Ham right now when they're on about sacking him.
That can't be true.
He's got 25%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Graham Potter beat us at Old Trafford. We forget.
7 out of 29 is below 25%.
Every team gave us a good game last season.
Yeah.
Every team.
Yeah, but you have to
Maybe
remember
Leicester.
it was never the
only
plan
two
to
that
bring
did
him in last season, though.
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
you almost have to write that off. I mean, you can't write it off, but you almost.
So this is the thing. The fact that he's still in the job now is us writing it off. Everyone's got a clean slate, and I think we all want him as United fans for him to do well.
Yeah.
But at what stage do we be like, I can't ignore what happened last season, because whether we like it or not, whether we win the title next year after, we're going to go back in history and be like, we finished 15th.
Yeah.
We finished 15th. So that is etched in history for the rest of our lives, whether we try to ignore it or not. So he needs to start winning games. And I want him to, and I want him to start winning games because I want him to be the manager. And I do trust the guy, but if you keep making the same mistakes, like, it's not going to happen.
And you know what I will say is, a lot of people kind of, they bought into the whole, the storms come in, whatever the storm. Like, because he kind of predicted the fact it's going to be difficult, everyone kind of said, you know what, because he said it, he must know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because he's predicted that it's going to be difficult, he must know what he's doing. I want to see Amorim say when it's going to get good. Because that, to me, will prove that he knows what he's doing. If he says, no, but halfway through the season, we should start playing better football and winning games, then I'll be like, okay, cool. At least we've now got a timeline, but I feel like it's very easy to just say, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be difficult. But if you can say when it's going to get good, that's when that will prove to me that you know exactly what you're doing. Because that will give you...
He say that, though. He said it at, like...
He half said it
at the end of the season. And then even
though.
Today, he's like, you know what, I think we need to grow up. He didn't say, you know what, the team are bad. He said, we created chances, and we did.
Yeah.
I think if Kuna scored that exact same chance at Craven Cottage last year, but it was for Wolves. So, stuff can happen, and you know, if my grandma had wheels, she would have been a bike. But we drew at the end of the day. So at what stage, my guy, are you going to be like, you can tell us everything, and I totally get it, because I was like that too.
Yeah.
I was like, he's told us we're going to lose games, and we lose games. Look, guys, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's true. I was like that too.
But I mean, when you say it out loud, it sounds dumb.
Yeah, it sounds insane, doesn't it? It sounds insane.
It's insane. Joe, in hindsight, yeah.
If he had to get sacked, we're going to look at him and be like, we told us we're going to lose games, and we lost every game. Why did we keep it?
How can a Manchester United manager come in and go, lads, we're going to be shit? Like, I've got my plan. It's not going to work for a bit. Like, in hindsight.
It's not about the results. It's about the friends we made on the way, guys.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
The thing is with Amorim, right? I'm Amorim in. I think we all still are Amorim in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But I do. This is where I have hope for him. Basically, what is it, like 9 teams this season or 8 have European football?
Yeah.
We have none. We have Grimsby midweek. I mean, come on. Like, this is our chance now. Grimsby, Burnley. I wouldn't put it past United, but win those games, get through the international break. European football, that's his chance to start doing better. But like everyone else, I'm baffled by some of the decisions he's made today, and I think he has to start getting better quick because the excuses are running out.
You are right. I mean, I said before, like the Grimsby game and the Burnley game, there is zero excuse. Like zero. I couldn't think of something that he could say right now, or even after those games, that I'd be like, fair enough. There's nothing he can say. No injuries, no red cards. We're still early in the season. Like, he's got pretty much all of his players. We've played 2 games already. We've actually played decent football. We're playing Grimsby away, like Blundale Park. We're playing Burnley, a newly promoted team, not won a game yet. There is absolutely zero excuse as to why we don't go and win those games convincingly. I'm not talking about a Bruno penalty. I'm talking about convincing open play goals. Like, we should be absolutely destroying these teams. So after those 2 games, like you said, if we don't get, obviously you don't get points in the cup, but if we don't win those 2 games, get 3 points in the Prem and obviously go through in the cup, there has to be more than serious conversations then. Yeah. I know you said October, but those 2 games, it almost feels like like I said, there is zero excuse. There's nothing more that we can actually give Amorim to say, you know what, fair enough. I can't find anything else in my locker to say, you know what, fair enough. I understand why you didn't win that game. Fair enough, City and Chelsea, difficult games. We might not win those 2. Fair enough, they're 2 very good teams. But those 2 teams next week, considering we're not playing 2 games at all throughout the season. Last season we played 2 games almost every. We played 14 Europa League games because we got to the final. We were playing 2 games pretty much for the whole season. This is one of the only few times that we're going to play 2 games in a week. There's zero excuse for him next week, in my opinion, to get those 2 wins. But yeah. What's
interesting about Amorim as well is every manager we've had over the last 10 years, I mean most of them, there is a period where they do get a string of results. Even Ten Hag, we had that one good season. Ole, we had that one really good season. With Amorim, we've seen moments where his system looks like it can work, but then we just can never turn it into consistent performances. Look, there's a guy on social media who's got hair as long down to here because we haven't won 5 games in a row. We can't. That guy is going to be gutted tonight. We can't get a consistent run with this system. I don't know. Every other manager could. He's not managed it yet, and I'm just praying it comes soon because. Otherwise, that guy's hair's going to be.
I'm sorry. I am going to stick by him. And last season, I did write it off, and I think it was right to write it off. Obviously, you'd still like to have won some more games, but when he came in halfway through the season, we all kind of agreed that season's a write-off. It might even be a good thing for the long term because he's going to get a few months to kind of get to grips with the clubs, have a little scope, see what's going on, and then he can go into next season a bit more, prepared. But he's got to get more. I'm sorry, this is a good squad. This is not a bad squad of players. I will not. This is not a 15th place squad, right? Burnley actually won yesterday. Burnley are above us in the league right now. They won 2-0. They look decent as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Look, alarm bells will start going off very soon because he's got to get more out of these players, yeah. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer finished second with a much worse squad. I'm sorry, it was a worse squad than this.
I don't think it was that bad, though.
No.
That team wasn't that bad.
The balance of the team.
Mate, that back line,
he had a better midfield. McTominay, look at McTominay now. Our midfield is massive. It's the spine of the team.
You had Pogba, Matic, you had
To be fair, Ole rarely had Pogba, to be fair. Under Ole, Pogba spent a lot of time
Maybe
injured.
not Pogba in it, but the team wasn't that bad. I don't think Ole's team was that bad.
Dan James, Pereira, Brandon Williams were playing they played a lot of games under Ole.
Squad.
I think it was.
I do think Tull's got a point. I think we saw. I was looking at Twitter pre-season and people was like, "Oh, look, our front 3 is in the top 3 in the league." Guess what? We can't score still. It's like he has got a point.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna read some more stuff out. So Hamback said. Actually, wait. Let me go back up. Yeah. So Darren says we should have sold Bruno when we had the chance and find a good replacement. Hamback says Kobe is technically good enough to play for Amorim. However, I believe that Amorim does not trust Kobe's lack of pace. If Kobe was as quick as Dorgu, he'd be starting. Again, like we mentioned before, you don't have to be Dorgu pace. You don't have to have Dorgu's pace to play in the midfield. Yeah. Dorgu's rapid. He's like one of the fastest players we have. How many DMs are as quick as Dorgu in the world?
Rodri's won the Ballon d'Or. I wouldn't call him quick.
He's not Dorgu quick.
De Bruyne. I know he's not a defensive midfielder. He's not quick. I don't think pace as a midfielder matters as much as your ability to move the ball quickly.
Yeah.
Your reflection of pace as a midfielder is actually how quick you move the ball, because that does the running fire.
Yeah, exactly. Super chat from Carl Robertson says, why are we playing these stupid Wizard of Oz tactics? Good players running around like morons, embarrassing. Super chat from Samir says, Bruno, oh my gosh, that's just gone up. Super chat from, this laptop decided to freeze. Anyway, I'm going to move on because, it's back. Super chat from Samir says, Bruno should be shown videos of how Rooney adapted to the Premier League. Wait, one sec. This laptop's
Different position.
The laptop's bugging out. One sec. Give me 2 seconds.
The Wizard
Okay, no, it says, so it says Bruno should watch videos of how Rooney adapted to playing in the midfield.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rooney was Rooney.
The issue with Bruno is we're playing him in a pivot of 2. Like,
Yeah.
he can't.
Rooney would have been able to play there though. But that's Rooney though.
Yeah.
Different player.
Bear in mind when we were firing and getting finish third and second and third again with Bruno in the team, but Tommy and Fred had to accommodate him. He still had
In
to
a
have.
three-man
He had
midfield.
to have 2 runners.
Yeah.
Like, accommodating for him.
Super chat from Rogene says, saw this wild stat on Twitter. Oh my gosh. Amorim has played more Premier League matches than points accumulated. He's played 29 matches and got 28 points.
That's insane.
That's insane.
That's
Right,
like,
yeah.
Is that not a relegation? Because if you
That's
play 38
insane.
games in a season, less points than that, that's like what, 30?
Oh yeah, we are. Oh, we've
Yeah,
been.
we're definitely in relegation form.
It's relegation.
Like, no, but we've been in relegation form not since Amorim, since 2024. Do you remember like under Ten Hag and
Yeah.
before? That was
And-
relegation form.
Yeah.
Do you remember getting spanked up at Selhurst Park 4-0? That was relegation. We've been in relegation form since 2024.
Last season, I mean, if anyone saw the forums, told you were there, bro. Every single week it was like, no, we might get relegated. This year. Like, it got to,
there was a good
at first it
period
was
of
funny.
time.
At first it was like, oh yeah, United might get relegated. And then we looked at the fixture list and we were like, oh wait, no, we might actually get relegated this season. Like it was looking at that point, and I think there was loads of stats that said about different teams that had more points than us that got relegated. Like we were below teams that got relegated in terms of points accumulated. So
I remember-
Yeah, West Ham got relegated with 40 points, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember
You
a period
got
of
41,
time,
I think, like, just
I
about.
was scrolling Ipswich's fixtures, seeing where they were going to drop points, and that's when you know you're in trouble. When you're looking at Ipswich.
Yeah, super chat from Alex Marmon says, if Amorim said that about Bruno, why keep him on? Agreed, that's what we said before. Faison says, just curious, did Fergie change his system and style of play after his initial subpar seasons as United manager? What was his secret sauce? I mean, I don't remember what he did in the 80s, to be fair.
He was adaptable for a game. We
adaptable.
played 4-4-2, we played 4-3-3,
But that was after he was winning,
we
though.
played 4-5-1 with Rude up top. I would like Amorim to be adaptable. I'd like my manager to be adaptable. I said before, like Pep changes his formation every year. Do you know, like I don't
Does
think
he change his formation every year?
he changes.
I think he changes the personnel.
He changes.
Yeah,
a
I
lot.
don't think
formation.
managers have to change form. Like,
Yeah.
we're saying this because we're losing. No one's telling Arteta to not play 4-2-3-1. Oliver Glasner plays the exact same formation as Man
literally.
United right now, and no one's telling him to change it when they just won the FA Cup and won the Community Shield. It's the personnel, and we're trying to fit the right personnel with the right formation, and hopefully it should get there eventually. But as of right now, we're saying change it because we're not seeing the results. So it's whether we get the right personnel and sort it out so we can actually see some good results and good performances, or we keep losing games and we're back to square one. Because if he gets sacked, I reckon we can slap this team in a 4-2-3-1 and no one's going to bat an eyelid. There's not going to be like, oh, we need this. There's good enough players now for us to for another manager to come in and just play some good football.
So is that, but then that's not personnel then, because that means you're saying it's
Personnel toward this formation.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's like it's a accumulation of both of them together. The formation can work. I mean, Xabi Alonso played three at the back. You know,
Yeah,
they've seen teams do that and be successful. We spoke about on the build-up show. Conte did it. You know, for Chelsea, we've seen Glasner, like you said, won the FA Cup. Obviously, Crystal Palace ain't the best team in the world, but they've had success playing three at the back and playing a similar formation. It's more about how can you take the players you have and fit them into this formation to make it work. And I feel like Amorim, he's taken his formation and the way how his previous players have played in there and tried to sub in the plays that he's got now into this formation, and that's why it's not working. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying there's not a place for this formation, but what I'm saying is, you know, if there's some games where 2 men in the middle blatantly isn't working, why not chuck a man in the middle?
Yeah.
I think you should be able to be adaptable like that. I don't think you should have to die on the sword of your formation. I think you should be able to adapt in games and say, and maybe, you know, plenty of managers change. Thomas Frank played 5 at the back against PSG, but he only played 4 at the back against City. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the best managers do change and do take it by game, or rather by the scenario, I suppose. You know, if it gets to half time of a game and your midfield's getting completely overrun, you're a madman if you just don't put, say, midfield out. You change it. That's what everyone does. That's what you do at Sunday League. If you're playing a Sunday League game, right, and you're getting completely outran, and you just go over and you just huddle up at half time, you're gonna say, right, lads, we're getting absolutely bogged down in midfield here. Yeah. We're gonna drop an extra body in. It's real. I feel like sometimes at top level of football, I feel like you stray away from common sense too much sometimes. I think some of the issues might be a pride thing. Be solved. I think this
it could be a little bit of a pride. I think it's a new manager thing. I think managers nowadays want to die on their sword. Like Vincent Kompany died on his sword and failed upwards and became the Bayern Munich manager. Because we all said Burnley can't play this way, but he still wanted to do it. And then they got relegated, but he became a Bayern Munich manager. Russell Martin's doing it right now at Rangers. Managers nowadays want to die on their sword instead of just being proactive and being like, you know what?
Let's win games. Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's like managers are like almost like players now, where you've got like manager PR and like a manager's a brand and a face. And you know, Gary Neville actually touched on it the other day, where he was saying one of the things he's hated in recent times about the teams that come up and go straight back down is the teams come up to the Premier League and you see them trying to pass out from the back and and you just think, it's not going to work. Like, you just ain't got the players to do it. Whereas, you know, a few years ago, you would probably just, let's be hard to play against. Let's rough them up. Let's loft the ball up to the big man and let's just rough them up and make it difficult, be a difficult team to play against. Whereas now, he was saying a big reason towards that now is that managers want to uphold this identity, like you said, for that potential, you know, future move in the career. They want to be able to play that attractive football because that's what's going to get them to the top clubs, the biggest paying jobs. Yeah, 100%. Look, I'm going to read out these super chats. That hour's gone already. That was quick. So look, super chat from Tashiamo says, my chat is our best player is Bruno, and he's a number 10. And before Kuna and Mbeumo, we already had 2 in Diallo and Mount, and yet we decided to buy 2 more 10s other than a midfielder. Yeah, no, great point. He's not wrong. Yeah, he's not wrong. But we all retweeted when Bruno and Kuna, we're all happy about it. So you're not wrong at all, because that's Man United's fault. Yeah, true. Super chat from Ignore says, Wan-Bissaka would have done well in the system, in my opinion. Super chat from Richard Brake says, only positive is Kuna. He looks like a Real Madrid player. I thought Kuna was all right. He did miss a few chances. That buying their chance, I wish he put that away. I wish he put that away. I think it's a different game. We were on top at that point. Yeah. Super chat from Akele says, I said it again and again, Captain Obvious is number 1 on losing the ball, number 1 on moaning, and number 1 on losing their man in the whole Premier League. By the way, he's first on losing the ball, first on moaning, and I thought it was actual stat there. It might be. It could be. Put your house on it. It's going to be Bruno, right? Yeah, true. Jacob says, we need to sell Kobe. Amorim won't play him at all. I don't think we should sell him, but I think he should still play. Darren Mullinley says, do you all think this new system is working for United? Not really, in my opinion, but... Yeah, I know we were talking about the system then, but I do think he has to stick with it now. Like, if you're a top 6 club, you need a clear style of play. Should he be able to adapt it in games? And let's say we're over in the midfield, put another one in there. Definitely. I don't know why not doing that is a mistake in my opinion. But he has to stick with it. It worked at Sporting. That's why we hired him. Why would he change from that? We hired him for that reason, for that system. It was meant to be amazing. And I do think one of the reasons as well, it's just, God, we spent all this money, but again, I think you do need specialists for the system. I mean, like we talked about Palace doing the same system. They have Daniel Munoz, the right wing back. He's one of their best players. Ahmad and Dorgu, are they good? Yes, but they're not making as much impact as he is. Tyreek Mitchell ain't too bad either. They've got great same with Leverkusen. Xabi Alonso had great success with that system. He had Grimaldo and Frimpong. In that year, they were 2 of the best fullbacks in the world. Yeah. I think wing back, we haven't really talked much about it, but I think that is still a big area, but we can't. I'd say the wing backs have got to really have that connection with the 10s. Yeah. And I thought last season when Amad Diallo played right wing back and Bruno played as that right 10, I thought it worked pretty well because there was an understanding to where Bruno kind of just played to facilitate Amad, and Bruno was basically just a trampoline for Amad to give the ball to and run and get it back. I'm not quite seeing this. Obviously it's going to take time to gel, but I'm not quite seeing the Bruno and Amorim and Buemo gelling together yet, and Dorgu and Kuna. It's just not quite happening yet. It might take a little bit of time, but hopefully they can kind of sort it out.
Yeah. Salah says, why did Amorim sub Maguire and Hayden, not Zirkzee and Mainey? All asking the same question. No idea. Super chat from Tishiamo says, one of the reasons managers kept Bruno because he can do something special, but now we have a lot of special players who can create such special moments. That's what I've been saying for ages. Super chat from Jamie Hart says, at what point do we maybe change the formation? I don't think you ever change it, to be fair. Super chat from Wilson Pereira says, Højlund pushed out for Sesko, doesn't start him, ruthless. Bruno is the biggest issue. Get Ricky here now. Bruno has cost us the game. Simple. Mainly can't get into the team. ? Clarence says, what really matters is the friends we made along the way. Positive on there. Nehemiah says, in retrospect, a draw at Fulham is not terrible. They beat Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, and drew Arsenal last season. Amorim hate is too early. Fair point.
I think it's more the game was definitely there for the taking. Yeah. We can all sit there and we all sat and watched it, and I think we can all agree that it was definitely there for the taking. And we should have closed it out much better as well. I think that's the main concern.
If we played like we did against Arsenal and drew to Fulham today, first of all, I don't think we would have drawn. But if we had that same level of performance, this form would be completely different. Yeah. Also, you could argue, I don't want to jump on the negative train, but you could argue our goal shouldn't have even been given. People are saying there was a foul from Yoro. I don't know. I think it was okay. But I think it's more about the nature of the draw rather than the fact it's a draw.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, look, that is the end of the show. I thought it's been a decent show, some good conversation about United this season. Hopefully, hopefully we can get the win eventually next week. We should get our first Premier League win next week. We should get our first win this season on Wednesday. Hopefully we should.
It's a funny one, this show, because we might look back at it at the end of the season and say, oh, we jumped the gun, we're all right. Or I might go, the issues were blatantly there in front of our face, man. So this will be a funny one to look back at in a few months' time.
100%. But anyway, look, guys, thank you for coming on the show. Tony, debut. First fans for me. How do you feel like it went?
No, I enjoyed myself being here. I love talking United.
The people loved you though. A lot of good comments in there, so I think they probably want to get you back on again. Hayden filling in for your sister while she's away enjoying herself, but another great performance, and then obviously Tul once again. I'm sure we'll be back again soon. But anyway, like I said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next show.